Hi, I'm Ruben Saltzman with Structure Tech Home Inspections, and today I got a really short and sweet message. I think most home inspectors need to calm down when it comes to reporting on max dryer duct lengths. Okay, that was a little bit of a mouthful. I'm making this video because I see a lot of home inspectors getting whipped up about reporting on dryer ducts that are too long. Now, the code book gives us 3 options for how to install a dryer duct and how to figure out what the maximum length is. And I'll tell you, I never see problems with this. But a lot of home inspectors think there are problems. So let's talk about what is required when it comes to a maximum dryer duct length. The code book, we're going to turn to the International Mechanical Code. We're going to use section 504.9 in the code. And it talks about how to determine the maximum dryer duct length. Number 1, they say 35 feet. That's it. You get 35 feet, that's your length. We do not count the dryer transition duct. That's the flexible thing that gets you from the dryer to the duct. That's not part of the equation. We don't add that up. And we also are assuming it's a straight run of 35 feet. Every time you take a turn, every time you got an elbow, you got to subtract something from that. Now, the standard elbow is going to be a 4-inch radius, and if we have a 90-degree turn with a 4-inch radius, that would subtract 5 feet. If you have a 45-degree turn, logically, you would subtract 2.5 feet. I see plenty of the 90-degree elbows. I don't see a whole lot of 45s. And then there's also a table in the code book that says if you have a longer radius elbow, then you can subtract less. I've never seen those longer ones, so I'm not even going to talk about it. Bottom line is, that's one option, is you just say 35 feet, calculated length. That's all you can do. But that's one. Okay, number 2, and I'm not going in order here. I'm saving the important one for the last. Number 2 is you use a power ventilator. That's this thing that gets installed in the dryer duct. It's got a fan and all kinds of, fun technical stuff inside there that basically boosts the performance. And this can be installed and it'll let the dryer vent out whatever the manufacturer allows. That's what the code book says. This is option number 3 technically, but the important one I want to talk about today is option number 3 or number 2, however you want to list it. The code book says you can just go with whatever the dryer manufacturer allows. Now, if there is no dryer installed, then we don't know what it's going to be. And maybe some people who take a really hardline approach say, if there's no dryer, then it's got to be a maximum of 35 feet. But I'll tell you this, show me any dryer where the manufacturer only allows you to have 35 feet. You're not going to find one. I decided I was going to look up 10 manufacturers, 10 installation instruction manuals, and see what they say. Now, some manufacturers give a special model. It's going to be the long vent model. I'm not using any of those. I'm being totally fair. And I didn't dive deep. I didn't, let's say I'm looking up Maytag. I didn't look up 10 Maytag models. I just looked up the very first one that came up in my Google search just to kind of prove my point. So let me read off a few of these that I found here. I'm going to read all of them. From Mana, they let you go with 64 feet of vent, subtracting up to 10 feet for every elbow. And when I say subtracting up to, a lot of these manufacturers don't have a linear chart. They might say you remove 12 feet for the first elbow, 8 feet for the next one, 4 feet for the next one. It's kind of goofy, but they say you subtract up to 10 feet per elbow. Electrolux, 125 feet. GE, 120. Frigidaire, 64 feet. Kenmore, 64 feet. LG, 65 feet. Maytag, 100 feet. Samsung, 80 feet. Speed Queen, 65 feet. Whirlpool, 64 feet. So for all the ones that I looked up, the most common length and the shortest was 64 feet. Way more than what the code allows. So the next time you hear somebody talking about how a dryer duct length is too long, I'm not buying it. In my entire home inspection career, there have been very, very few houses where I reported on a dryer duct length that was too long. I could probably count them on one hand. This is not typical. Anytime we're in our house and we see a dryer duct that looks especially long, if we're curious about it, we will simply go to the dryer, we'll punch the model number into the Google machine, and then we'll look at the installation instructions, and just about every time, whatever is installed meets the dryer manufacturer's instructions. So that's my, I don't know, I guess this is a bit of a rant. Maybe there's a little bit of education here. Bottom line is, I think most home inspectors need to calm down when it comes to reporting on maximum dryer duct length. That's all I got for you today. I'm Ruben Saltzman with Structure Tech Home Inspections. Thanks for watching. Take care.